What's up, guys? In today's episode in the GenX Vault, we're going to be discussing He-Man Revelations as well as the toys.
And show and tell.
And we're going to open the box or mystery. What's up, guys? I am Chris Mitchell.
Rob Kennedy.
And we're with the GenX Vault. Welcome today. Today is our 13th episode, Rob. It is actually coming on a year.
Oh, wow.
The end of August of 2020 was our first episode. So we're getting close to a year here and 13 episodes under our belt. That's actually not too bad. Because it could have, we went through that dry spell, but it could have fizzled out.
That's true.
But we didn't. We brought it back as soon as my hard drive, my external storage, and my battery pack got working again. So that's all right.
There you go.
All right, so today, guys, we're going to be talking about He-Man and the new Kevin Smith series that's on Netflix, which is He-Man Revelations. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys major spoiler alerts. We have a lot of spoilers in this episode. If you have not seen it yet, stop watching now. Come back after you watch it. But definitely watch it. It's certainly worth watching. All right, Rob, have you seen every episode yet?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not spoiling anything for you.
All 5.
And speaking of which, I've not seen the latest Bad Batch, so don't say anything about that if you bring that up. All right, so Rob and I, we actually share a pretty similar He-Man background. You and I we weren't major He-Man fans growing up.
No.
But we were in it enough. Like, how many figures would you say you had?
Maybe 10.
Yeah,
10, 12.
I think I did too. I think I had 8 or 9 figures. Yeah. Matter of fact, I had a list of them. I didn't even print it out, but I know that I had about 8 or 9 figures growing up. You know, and you had Battle Cat as well, right?
I had like 10 figures, Battle Cat, and the Castle
Grayskull.
Yeah.
That's about what I had. About the same thing. Yeah. So, I probably stopped He-Man a little bit after you. I think my last He-Man in that series, in the original series, was like the Evil Hordak.
Oh yeah,
You didn't make that.
I wasn't even aware of who that was.
Yeah. So. Well, he was like the last thing I think I collected. Them and like, not Leechor. What was his name? Like Leech, something like that.
They would put or on the end of anything.
Skeletor, Leechor. Yeah. But you know what? They really missed with Clawful. I get it. They should have called him Lobster. You know what I mean? That would have been like a better name for that guy. Yeah. But anyway, so when Rob and I, we talked about He-Man when it started coming out, and I'll be honest with you, when they said that, they were going to do a new He-Man cartoon, I really wasn't digging it. I mean, it wasn't like I was, oh yeah, great, another He-Man cartoon. And then they said, well, Kevin Smith is doing it. I said, okay, well, there could be some interesting stuff there. But then they said, oh, it's really a continuation of the original Filmation, And, okay, that's true. The first half of the first episode is a continuation of that Filmation episode. I mean, that Filmation series.
Is it?
It is. I mean,
How do you know?
Okay, here's the thing. First of all, there was no real continuity in He-Man. There was no real continuity. You could literally, if you guys haven't seen the old series, you could literally pick one episode from like season 2 or 3 and then pick this up and you'll get it. It'll be right away. No continuity whatsoever. But it was always goofy. It always was lighthearted. Cringer was always scared. Orko was always stupid. King Randor was always lighthearted. Yeah. Adam was lighthearted. He-Man was, he was just basically throwing baddies around. That's all it was. Yeah. That was what the series consisted of, which is fine because it was a kid's show and it was, basically a long toy commercial.
Because they were not allowed to clash swords.
That's right. They weren't allowed to clash swords. So here's the thing. The first few seconds of this series, same kind of thing. And then about halfway through it, shit gets real. It gets real. I mean, people die, arms get cut off, people get split in half, things blow up. So while Kevin Smith was correct, he literally did start that Cringer is goofy in the beginning, Orko's stupid, King Randor's lighthearted, Adam is goofy. There's puns galore. Yeah. Like So, but then after about, halfway through, 15 minutes in, whatever, it's like, oh my God, what just happened? Okay, so let's, again, spoiler alert, we're going to go ahead and break down some of episode 1, if you can kind of work with me on this.
Okay.
If you could tell as Rob's face, he's the one that really didn't bring up this topic. It was me this week. We bounced it off each other, and so I'm gonna let him be the color man this week. But because you picked up some stuff that I didn't. I know you did. I know you did.
Yeah,
I know you picked up some of it. Okay. But let's break this down. So, okay. First of all, let's talk about King. Let's talk about what happened at the beginning. He was absolutely everything's going normal. Then guess what? Adam dies. He gets killed. He gets blown up by Skeletor while he's in the Adam form, which I'm going to talk about that in a little bit later. He dies. So then Man-at-Arms and Teela go back to the king, and they have to explain to him, hey, Adam didn't make it. He-Man didn't make it. Well, when he said He-Man didn't make it, Adam's mom, Queen, what is her name?
I have
Queen?
no idea.
I'm horrible for doing that.
I barely watched the original show.
Yeah, well, I didn't watch
even
it
as a kid, I didn't like it.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of felt the same way. It's like I liked the toys. Me and my cousin would joke about how dumb the show was.
Yeah.
It was the same kind of thing. So I think that's kind of the gist. I think all of us were actually like that.
Well, the toys originally came with little mini comics in them.
Right.
And the mini comics had a more of a Conan the Barbarian meets Thundar the Barbarian
there's reason for
vibe
that.
to it.
That's right.
But it had a more probably if I went back and read them now, I wouldn't think so. But it was more of a serious tone. And then and I liked that, but then when the TV show came out and it was just goofball corny, I just never really got into it.
Right. Well, it was goofball corny.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is not that at all. I mean, it starts out that way, but then it detours really quick. So the interesting thing to me about this was Adam dies. Teela, Man-at-Arms, they go back to tell the king. And Jesus Christ, the first thing the king wants to do is he threatens Man-at-Arms to be executed. Like, this guy's built your army your entire life, and now you are threatening to execute him publicly if he doesn't get the hell out of the kingdom.
Yeah.
And then he tells his daughter to kick his ass out. Mm-hmm. And so, in a moment of badassery, Teela goes, "No, I ain't doing this." And I don't know if you saw the look on her face when she says that. She has the most badass look that she could have on her face. Her hair falls down, and of which I'm going to throw that graphic up right now because I did take a screenshot of it. It is awesome. She just looked like I'm badass.
Art was really good.
It was really good. But now, getting back to that, you'd never seen anybody die except for a robot in He-Man. Mm-hmm. Those little flying robot things, whatever they were. You never saw them die. They were the bats of the G.I. Joe world. The battle android troopers. So nobody ever dies in He-Man. But then all of a sudden your main character dies in the first episode and you're like, holy crap, what's going on? And the main baddie guys. Skeletor dies at the beginning too. It's crazy. But again, it starts out, even had the puns and stuff at the beginning. Through the series, it made fun of the fact that it had the puns. Mm-hmm. But I want to ask you this. This is one of the things I wanted your opinion on. And I'm gonna throw this graphic up while we're there. All right. What did you think about the opening graphic artwork? Did you notice something similar to...
I don't remember.
Okay, so as the opening graphic opens up, it looks a lot like what's on the package of Castle Grayskull. And just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about from the toy line. Because that graphic was just like Conan the Barbarian artwork, or it looked like a Molly Hatchet album cover. You know what I mean? Like Flirting with Disaster or something like that. But it looked really cool on the Castle Grayskull artwork, which made it a lot darker and more gritty. So then when this opens up with a similar artwork as it pans out, it really looks like something's going to be a little different. It kind of foreshadows a little bit of that something's a little different here,
Well, I knew the art was going to be good because the same studio that did the recent Castlevania animated series was doing this one.
They animated this?
And Castlevania looked really good.
Yeah. Well, and just talking about the character development, okay, so did you know who they got to do the voice of Evil Lynn?
Yeah, Lena Headey.
Lena Headey, yeah. Mm-hmm. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was in that other episode doing the voice of Evil Lynn.
In Game of Thrones?
No, she was, that was right. She was doing Game of Thrones.
She also played Sarah Connor.
They got Cersei. Yeah.
She played Sarah Connor. She was in 300.
Wait, she played Sarah Connor in which one?
The TV show.
I never really. Mm-hmm. I never saw that. Never saw that show. Okay, so but they also got Luke Skywalker to do the voice of Skeletor. Mm-hmm. I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
or it was either him or that guy from Corvette Summer. I don't remember which guy it was, but it was either him or that guy.
Yeah,
you know,
one of the two.
One of the two.
Yeah.
But Mark Hamill's shining moment, Corvette Summer. That's what I'm talking about. But if you remember that movie, you're definitely Gen Xer right there.
I remember it.
I remember it, but I don't.
I watched it just because it had. I watched it when I was young.
Because it had Luke Skywalker in it.
Yeah, and the only thing I remember about it is at the end he strips down to his underwear.
I don't remember.
And rides off with the girl.
That sounds fun.
And I really couldn't remember why.
I don't know why either.
It's weird seeing Luke Skywalker
in his skivvies. In his skivvies.
Yeah.
Okay, so but back to He-Man. We digress. So you got great voice talent, obviously, with Mark Hamill, Lena Headey, and these are major actors doing these parts. The woman that plays Teela does a fantastic job. The woman that does
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
The one that does what?
Teela is Sarah.
Oh yes, Sarah Michelle Gellar. That's right. I forgot. Yeah, but her. You know what was cool about that is her voice was. I didn't pick that up at all. She lowers it a little bit to do that character.
Yeah,
and she gets a little gravelier and a little that teen.
I wasn't as impressed with her voice as Teela. It just, to me, it just didn't. Her voice didn't fit what in my mind I pictured Teela sounding like. I thought Lena Headey as Evil Lynn was perfect.
Well, I actually really did I like the way Teela turned. It got a little old. Like some of the attitude got a little old, but there's a story arc and a character arc happening there that we won't really see unfold until we get the next 5 episodes. So we're gonna kind of have to find out how that does. But yeah, now and also one thing I like, speaking of like you said, Evil Lynn, I like the way that the characters aren't just black and white. They're not. They really have shades of gray. Like she is not just all evil, And I like the whole thing in there when the other I can't remember her name, but the other character says, "You think we really should trust someone who has evil in their name? Someone named Evil Lynn. Is this really who we need to be trusting?" Yeah,
she's probably the best character for me.
Oh yeah, and she's hot too. Oh man, when she pulled that headdress off and that long gray hair comes out, I'm like, man, I never thought I'd say this, but Evil Lynn is hot. She's totally hot. Cougar, big time cougar. But yeah, I mean, I totally loved it. I love the way that it made fun of its own puns. Yeah. Like at the very beginning when He-Man holds the needle, and he's like, "I've got the power," and he's just holding the pen to pop the bubble. Little stuff like that. So now getting back to what we talked about, there's a huge story arc there that happens between each character. Man-at-Arms character gets developed as he gets banished a little bit, but one of the main story arcs that I really enjoyed on this was Orko's. Because he was a goofy character when I was a kid. He didn't have any he didn't have any depth. He was just a goofball. That's what he was. Yep. But what they did was they kind of explained his whole past, why he was what he was. He was really kind of an outcast from his race of beings.
Yeah. I did like Orko's arc in the show better. I mean, it sounds like you liked it a lot better than I did.
Yeah. Well, I think, I'm 2 years young, a year and a half younger than you. So I was a little more, okay, this is going to be kind of rocking. This is kind of cool. And I did like it. I did accept it really well. So, and unexpectedly well. I think I watched all of them either in one night or 2 nights. Right. It was pretty dang quick. And they're easy watches. They're 27 minutes long, But yeah, his story arc. I mean, I'm getting to the end of his story arc and realizing, oh my God, this little guy's sacrificing everything because he really does care. He's broken through that boundary of he knows that everybody knows he's a goofball, but at the very end, he turns pretty badass.
Yeah,
he unleashes holy hell at the end, which is kind of cool. Watching because there's been those. Sometimes I've texted you this picture. I know you're a Trap Jaw fan. And, occasionally when I text you those high-res drawings of people that do more realistic renderings of, like, what He-Man or Trapjaw or Skeletor would look like in that kind of adult form, And Orko's got kind of a menacing one that they have out there. And that's who he became in that last final moment.
My favorite episode of the 5 was, I think, the 4th one, when Orko and Evil Lynn go off on their own. And the dynamic between the two of them.
Between Orko and Evil Lynn,
I thought was really cool, and kind of the bond that they formed
because of the magic.
It's very they're a very unlikely duo,
right?
But I like that. Episode 4 was my favorite episode of the 5.
See, but you remember that kind of stuff. I don't remember which episode these were. I mean, I could literally be quoting the first episode and think it was the last. I had to watch it again last night to remember that it was Adam that died in both forms. So let's talk about that just a second, because I've got a theory about that. So when Adam dies and goes to, do they call it Eternia or do they call it it's the afterlife?
It's like Proternia, and they came up with some names. It's basically heaven and
Yeah.
hell.
So he dies and goes to the afterlife. Adam dies, and he dies as Adam, but he chooses. All of a sudden, he gets up there. There's Hero, there's King Grayskull, there's all the precursors to He-Man, who He-Man would eventually take up that mantle and become. And they chose their huge mass, these hulking bodies to be their final form. They called it their final form. Well, or something like that. Well, He-Man, they said Adam chose his lesser visage, if you will. And so what's interesting about that, and they said that was interesting. Well, so both times Adam dies, He-Man dies, he dies as Adam. He never actually dies as He-Man. And I'm wondering, because Skeletor came back, he put through magic, he put his spirit in the staff or whatever. He came back, and then what's his name? When he does come back, He-Man, he comes back as Skelegod or something like that. Yeah. And so I'm thinking, okay, so is something.
Well, he comes back as Skeletor, but he takes the sword.
Takes the sword, but I'm wondering.
Then he becomes Skelegod.
Right, that's right. But I'm wondering if there's going to be something played out where He-Man is able to come back through some sort of magic. I mean, it's magic.
Well, we don't 100% conclusively know that Adam's dead. He got impaled.
Yeah,
but we don't know that he's out of the game.
Right.
And such.
Well, that's true.
It ended there.
He's kind of laying there with his.
He's laying there and he's bleeding, but
right.
It's never confirmed on screen.
No, it's never confirmed
that he's dead.
And they confirmed it the first time, and he came back.
Yeah.
So interesting. That's going to be an interesting thing to see. Actually.
Well, the first time they assumed he was dead. All they really know for sure is he was there and then he wasn't. It's not like they found his body.
Right.
And after the first time, it was just he and Skeletor were just gone.
Right. But he came back in physical form, so we can only assume. So we don't know. That's the thing when you deal with magic and you deal with shows like this. You don't really know. You don't. I mean, what they could rewrite it and retcon it any way they want.
Oh yeah, and if you've ever read a comic book for any length of time, you never trust a death.
They come back. Yeah. So we think he's coming back. Now, speaking of which, and the puns and all that stuff. My God, when Skeletor in the first episode burns up Moss Man, roasts him, and then says, "Smells like pine," I mean, oh my God. That was so brutal because he burned him up and you see his skeleton as he's dying. The second thing, when he says "smells like pine" in the end, that's a throwback to the old toys, and in the current wave for that matter, where when they did it on Moss Man, they put that pine scent in there.
Oh, did it really have pine scent on him?
So he had a pine scent. So as soon as I saw that, I went, "Oh, that's
they make it smell like moss."
Brutal. Because moss stinks, man.
Well, yeah,
but if you make him smell like pine, then he's like, "Okay, we'll hang around you." Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what they use for stinkor smell, right?
No.
Patchouli. So it didn't really stink. It was just patchouli. And if you were a kid, you'd never smelled patchouli before. You never went around hippies. You were like, "Oh my God, what? It's pungent." Yeah. It just doesn't stink, but it's pungent.
Right.
But if you name a character stinkor and you make him pungent, your perception is, "Oh, that stinks."
Yeah.
So
put the idea in their head.
Yeah, so that's right. It puts the idea in your head. So, but here, he roasts Moss Man and then says "smells like pine," and that was brutal. Just a brutal. So, it's just crazy to think that they had all those those different those elements to it, and they brought it back and they made a character. They actually developed each character a little bit more, than they would the main characters, and they showed the struggles they had. So I thought it was really well done, and I didn't believe that Kevin Smith was actually going to do a continuation, but he did, and then you had a switch that got flipped, and all of a sudden it became an adult cartoon, and it was similar to what happened with, and I don't know if you've seen this or not, but it was similar to what happened with G.I. Joe Resolute. When they made G.I. Joe Resolute, it was the G.I. Joe cartoon for the adults that grew up watching it. That's what it was. And that's what this was. So, I actually wrote a lot of things down that I think I printed out and left over there. But, so tell me on your thing, Rob, tell me your He-Man memories. While I'm gonna print this out and I'm gonna show a graphic while Rob is telling something else.
Well, my view on the show, like I said, I enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
3.5 out of 5?
Yeah. I really enjoyed how much it made people mad, but beyond that, I my favorite character was definitely Lena Headey as Evil Lynn. I thought she had the best arc, and like I said, my favorite episode was the one with her and Orko. In the very first episode, going back to that scene where they go back and they tell the king and queen that Adam's dead, or that He-Man's dead, and the mother, of course, always knew, because they alluded to it earlier that she knew that Adam was He-Man. I actually found that scene to be a little tone deaf on Kevin Smith's part, because here is two parents just found out their son is dead.
Right.
And they're devastated, rightfully so, because their child is dead.
Right.
And Tila makes it all about herself.
That's right. Okay,
she just goes off, and never mind that these two parents people that you also love have just lost their son. All you can do in that moment is complain that everybody lied to you.
That's right. That's okay. So that's where I was getting at. That's where it got a little annoying to me, that she all of a sudden had that teen angst.
Yeah,
that's what I was talking about earlier.
Well, she was angsty the whole time. I mean, honestly,
she was
honestly, I never warmed up to Tila.
Really?
In the whole series,
even when she had that sweet haircut, and you're thinking
her arc is only. I mean, it's only half done.
Never once you thought you could hit that.
Wow.
She'd hit you.
Her arc isn't done, but I like I said, I never really warmed up to Tila, because she was always complaining.
She was,
and such. And but like I said, when it was all said and done, I enjoyed it. I was hoping to be blown away, and I came away mildly entertained. So
this is why Rob has that face for this episode. Yeah. When I told him we're doing He-Man, isn't great. He showed him. Okay, I brought two things.
Like I said, I didn't mind it. I did love how if you want to have fun, go to Internet Movie Database and read the reviews for it.
God! Oh, the fanboys are screaming.
The misogyny is thick.
Well, God, yeah, they can't stand the fact that the main person was a woman. And it's like, grow up, kids. And Kevin Smith made an argument with that.
Yeah.
He said if you didn't realize, he said the show had women all through the heroes all through the show that were women, all as a kid, and it was one of the few toy lines that when boys play with, girls could actually play along with that, because there were women, there were strong women in the toy line. There, Evil Lynn, the sorceress, Tila,
and then it tied into She-Ra.
Yeah, and then how did She-Ra and Princess of Power? How was all that?
Best I remember, something like she was his cousin, but yet for some reason she was on a whole different world.
That's right. Yeah,
and they had to go through like a mystical portal to see each other.
Oh, weird.
All this.
I can't really remember that either.
But yeah, it was funny. But plus, I think what people are forgetting too. Well, I mean, the people who are going to complain, they're going to complain no matter what.
Absolutely.
But what people have to remember, this is not an episodic show. This is not a story of the week. This is basically one arc.
That's right.
Over 10 episodes.
Grow up.
It's telling one story. You can really think of it as one long episode.
That's right. That's the way I think. That's the way I think of it.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So speaking of which, I think that King Randor, like getting back to King Randor, and I guess it's Queen Randor. I guess I don't know. Is Randor his first name? I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that getting back to him, I'm hoping he does it. I'm hoping he sort of has the Santa Claus effect that you see in the claymation of Rudolph. Because in the beginning of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus is an absolute dick. He wants Rudolph to hide his nose. He doesn't care about anything but himself.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, he comes around and says, well, maybe I was too hard on you. Hopefully King Randor, I mean, if he doesn't get his crap together, he'll be a jerk, man. If he doesn't really, oh my God, I overreacted, I lost my son. And in that moment, I can understand some of his reaction, but dude, you just wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
And you lost your son, and Man-at-Arms was all humble. He even told Tila to stand down.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm not too mad at her, because she just banished her dad and then said he wanted to kill her dad. And at that point, whoa, put the brakes on. But
then she treated her dad like crap.
Oh yeah. Oh, she was. Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. She had that angstiness. Yeah. She was hating the world.
Yeah.
She was confused.
So when your most level-headed character in the show is Evil Lynn,
or Man-at-Arms. But hey,
he was barely in it.
But hold on, there was a little bit of love going on between Evil Lynn and Man-at-Arms. There was like a nice little she kind of said, I once said that Man-at-Arms was the most dangerous man in the universe. Yeah, she kind of had a thing for Man-at-Arms.
Yeah,
did you pick up on that?
Well, I picked up on the fact that Man-at-Arms and the Sorceress produced Tila.
Is that what happened?
Mm-hmm.
That was in the show.
They all but told you.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to things like that.
Because Tila is obviously going to be she's the new sorceress.
Really?
You don't remember the scene where the emblem lit up on her forehead?
No,
when she was down there with Scareglow?
I had to literally watch the episodes again just to get that.
Yeah, there's some scene. I think it's a scene with Scareglow or whatever his name is,
Scareglow.
Scareglow.
That's in Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Scareglow.
Where she like resists him or something, and all of a sudden, this sorcerer. I think the same emblem the sorceress has.
Okay.
Lights up on her forehead.
Okay.
And then the sorceress and Duncan have some moments.
Well,
and so it's kind of obvious that Duncan was not her adoptive father,
but
he was really
dad.
her father.
Ooh.
And the sorceress is her mother.
Okay. So here's the other thing too.
Unless they swerved, they were laying that on pretty thick.
Well, okay, I missed it. I missed the window.
Could be a swerve. Who knows?
Well, so the other thing is getting back to that again. I hate to harp on this and beat a dead horse in this opening scene, but He-Man's mom knows that, or Adam's mom knows that he's He-Man.
Yeah.
King Randor is he's so blind. He doesn't know who his son is. You never notice, you never see him in the same room at the same time, man. He-Man never comes to the luncheons.
Yeah.
Never comes over for the dinner parties, and but Adam's always there goofing around. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
And then what a dick move when he said, "I hope one day I can be as proud as you."
Well, at least it's easier. At least it's more acceptable in this show that he doesn't realize that Adam is He-Man because Adam is physically different.
That's true.
Than He-Man.
That's true.
And all the other ones, Prince
Same
Adam
size.
is basically a lazy layabout, but he's like muscled up the same as He-Man.
You kind of wonder, when you hit in that gym.
It's like Clark Kent supposed to be a nerd, and he's
glasses.
He's as muscled up as Superman is.
Glasses though.
Yeah. So
glasses.
So I did like the fact that they actually changed Adam to be just kind of more frail.
Yeah, that actually was a good move. And you talked about that earlier. Okay, so I'm hoping that King Randor does have a Santa Claus effect where he comes back around and gets a little bit better. Let's see. The metal riffs when He-Man's changing, I have the power. When he's doing that, and the heavy metal riffs are sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay, I know you're a big Faker fan. We talked about that. I never did like Faker or got Faker as a kid. Never understood the blue Faker. This Faker actually is a good Faker. He's got flesh over him.
Yeah,
he's got a metal skeleton inside. He's a metal.
I wanted the blue guy.
I know you did. You wanted the blue guy. Mm-hmm. So I'm throwing a picture up of the original looking Faker. This is the Motu Classic line of the blue Faker and the normal He-Man. Faker was always blue. And if you ever want to see something funny about Faker, watch the Robot Chicken, the Skeletor impersonation or interpretation of Faker. He's like, "What is blue?"
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That is funny.
My part of He-Man was like, good. They finally got a Faker that was actually able to fake somebody because he wasn't blue skin. He wasn't a Star Trek alien. You know? Okay, so the guns. Wait, what are that? Yeah. Oh no. This is when you get 46, can't read your own typing. The puns were awesome. We talked about that. They called the horse, I'm done with this nightmare. Boom, boom.
There's a horse called Nightmare in the
Well, no. She said, I'm done with this nightmare. And she's talking about a horse. The one that Skeletor brings in the castle.
I got you.
Nightmare. That's awesome. That was a good one. And then, of course, when he said, I have the power and all that stuff. Let's see. It smells like Palm's great. Evelyn was hot. The story, Orcos was epic. I love that. I love the way that the show makes fun of itself in the puns. I like the way it actually makes fun of itself about the puns, which is actually, it wasn't really a breaking the fourth wall moment, but it was good enough to realize it can hack on itself, which is good. So my final thoughts were that Adam chose his lesser self. I definitely think he'll be back as He-Man. I definitely think he's not dead. But I think Tila's arc is going to be a really interesting one. Your final thoughts, you said you gave it a 3.5 out of 5?
Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it. At no point I was like, this sucks, I'm going to turn it off. Like I said, at the end of the day, I enjoyed it. I was hoping, like I said, I was hoping to be blown away, and I was mildly entertained. I have no great anticipation for the final 5 episodes. When they come out, I will watch them when they come out. But if they come out next week or they come out a year from now, I'm not going to lose any sleep.
Well, I enjoy it. I think they're coming out pretty soon, actually. I don't think they're too late behind.
No, they're pretty much done.
I think they're coming out soon. I look forward to it. I think it's going to be a good little watch.
Yeah.
It doesn't, actually, for me, it actually adds to more of the way that I played He-Man as a kid. I gave him more grit. My characters did die in battle, so it adds a little bit of that to me for nostalgia purposes. And that's really what this entire show is about anyway. It's about nostalgia and what we kind of grew up doing.
Yeah, the one thing I was actually disappointed in and it surprised me because one of the things I was looking forward to was I've been watching Batman the animated series, so I've been watching Mark Hamill as Joker on it, doing the voice of Joker on that, and I was disappointed. His Skeletor voice is basically his Joker
voice, yeah.
And I mean, it's almost. I mean, it made no changes to it. And I just, as talented as he is, I wish he could have made a more distinct voice for Skeletor. Because when you've been watching the animated series and you hear Skeletor talk, but you hear Joker's voice comes out, it's
a little weird.
Well,
and it obviously wasn't weird for me because I'd never seen Batman the animated series. So it never happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. All right, so that's my kind of final take of He-Man the series. I will say this: I did make a list for you, Rob.
Okay.
Check this out. Put that damn phone away. What
going?
Put it away. Put it away.
I will. I'll try.
She knows we're shooting. What does she want?
She knows she's shooting. She just got home.
She just got to tell her we're shooting.
Well, how can I do that if I put the phone away?
Just go ahead and type and say we're shooting GenX Vault. It's got to be seen by 24 people. Tell her our fans are waiting in line. People. All right. So I made a list. I'll wait till Rob puts his phone down.
I'm at Chris.
How does she not know? You didn't tell her we were going over at 2 o'clock?
No.
So she comes home and you're gone, and what does she think?
Probably think good. I got the TV to myself.
She thinks what?
Probably thinks good. I got the TV to myself.
All right, ready?
Yep.
All right. So I made a list in true Rob fashion of the actual He-Man that I own. Oh. So I owned originally. I owned He-Man. Mm-hmm. I owned Stratus. I owned Battle Armor He-Man. Mm-hmm. I owned Merman, Skeletor, Hordak, Leech, which was the guy I was talking about earlier, Zodak, the Slime Vat, Battle Cat, and Castle Grayskull. So I really only owned, it looks like I owned 8 He-Man, and then the Slime Vat, which, by the way, the vat was not the slime pit where the arm came down. I didn't own that. Right. I just owned the tub of the green slime. I thought it was the coolest stuff ever. And I love that.
They use that green slime for a lot of stuff.
Oh, they did, yeah. Well, and it's still, you can still get it.
Yeah.
They make it. Hey, remember when it was in the little bubblegum things? You get the little orange, green, the neon colors? Yeah. There's recipes how to make that online.
Something that's always puzzled me, I've always thought this back when I was a kid too, was with Battle Cat. Because in the toy line, he was just Battle Cat.
Right.
He didn't become Cringer until the show. But like, He-Man is heroic because Adam is heroic. Like Adam is brave, Adam is heroic. So when he becomes He-Man, he's still brave and heroic. He just now has big muscles and power.
Okay.
But I've never understood Cringer being a scaredy cat because basically when he's Battle Cat, he's still Cringer. His heart and his all is still Cringer. So when he's brave as Battle Cat, he should be brave as Cringer too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the story did address this in the show. Yeah. Remember, he said it took me a while to get over it, and you're the one that named him Cringer. Yeah, he told Tila that he named him Cringer, so that's kind of part of it. Yeah, which is I think that does kind of address some of that.
He's more Jekyll and Hyde than
right. And when you were a kid, when we were a kid, and I mean, really and truly, when you think about it, and in the Masters of the Universe world, it's I read this on Michael Crawford's toy site. He talks about, and I've talked about this too with Plaid Toys. When you think of your epic play sets for toys, Star Wars, it's obviously either Death Star playset or the Millennium Falcon. At G.I. Joe, it's either like their Terradrome or the USS Flag is the big one. And with He-Man, it is Castle Grayskull. Castle Grayskull is the ultimate playset because it had a lot of playability to it. Like the
it came with accessories and stuff. And all
tons of accessories.
And none of us knew what that training thing was for.
Oh yeah, I didn't know what that was. But you could take the wrist and punch it and it would spin around. So it did work. And matter of fact, I think it was on a website that it said the original one didn't come with that, but it did.
It did.
It
had the original one.
Yeah, it just wasn't a log. Yeah. It was, but that's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a training thing. Yeah.
But it had like a goblin head or something on the end of it.
And then it's something else on the other side.
Yeah. No, it came with the original because
I remember it completely.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, when they did the upgraded Castle Grayskull from the Motu Classic line, the new line they came out with the Four Horsemen, it also had most of the accessories that came with originally. They were just updated, made 3D a lot of them. It was just kind of cool. So that was my original He-Man lineup, and I threw those on the screen. Yeah. So you'll be able to, in your viewing pleasure, be taking down a trip to 7-inch plastic lane and enjoy that. 5-inch.
They were 5
They were 5 inches. They were 5 inches. Yeah.
They were a little bit bigger than they were a little bit taller.
Yeah.
But I guess if you stretched them out, if they actually unbent their knees.
Yeah, because their knees were...
Because their legs are spread and knees are bent.
Yeah, it was kind of an unusual pose. Yeah. And, of course, they reused so many body parts.
Yeah.
I mean, God, He-Man's arms were probably...
But the pose was perfect, though, for it made them more playable.
Yep.
Because that springboarded waist allowed them to throw each other and punch, and then He-Man set on Battle Cat really well.
Right.
And also, it worked. It was a good play design.
Oh, yeah, it was. Big time. Yeah, big time. All right, so that's our He-Man wrap-up, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed He-Man Revelations. And if you hadn't seen it, you can check it out on Netflix. It's pretty sweet, and I think it'll add to your He-Man nostalgia. All right, so now it is time for what we do. It's time for Show and Tell, boys and girls. Show and Tell. All right. So I'm going first today because Rob is going to do the box of mystery, and I'm going to start out. Actually, we're doing 2 things for Show and Tell today, and I
forgot. I only brought one.
You only brought one.
That's why you go first, and I go then you go.
Okay, so we'll do a little swap thing. Yeah. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and show you guys, I'm going to do 2 at once. I've got this. This is the Masters of the Universe Classics collection of He-Man and Zodak. A couple things I really, really dig about these figures are, first of all, I thought that the Four Horsemen did an amazing job of keeping that classic look, but modernizing it with a little bit of the what should I say? Not as much of the McFarlane grittiness to it, but enough to where it made it more modern and acceptable as adults. So you basically got the cool classic look of the He-Man that you had as a kid, but you got an updated version of this a little more gritty, and it's more like your mind's eye remembers it instead of what it actually did look like, and it competes with of course the main toy line. Now, one thing that you guys know I can't stand are these they call it the crunch abs is what they call it. That's what Michael Crawford calls it, the crunch abs, because that little T joint right there in them, can't stand that. But overall, I mean, they were able to have the bicep, turn the muscles the way they did that. The ball joints for the arms were great. They did add some rotation in his boots, which I thought was kind of cool. Yeah. They did obviously the pivot point in his feet, which I'm okay with that. Even though this figure, I've never counted the articulation points. Even though
it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. But even though it has a lot, I didn't feel like it was as bad as like one of the Spider-Men that they always come out with 32 points of articulation. And He-Man's head's on a ball pivot, which is kind of cool. I like the fact they kept his old coloring, They kept his old gauntlets the same. But it doesn't scream to me, too much articulation, because they kind of hid some within the muscles. But the other thing is the way they did the airbrushing, to highlight some of the depth of the muscles, I thought was a really cool job. I thought they did that. Yeah. And of course they did the same thing, with Zodak. They did the exact same thing. And just like the original toy line, Zodak, his arm gauntlets and his feet and all that, and his body sculpt were entirely based on Skeletor. Because when you're doing a toy line like this and you're introducing a new line like Mattel did in the 80s, you gotta have some you gotta save some money somewhere. Yeah. And they did that obviously by the molds and sculpting, and they didn't do that. But Zodak was the reason why he's kind of a figure that's near and dear to me, is because it was the first figure I ever got. The first He-Man figure I ever got. We went to our local store. It was a shop called Bill's Dollar Store, and I saw him in there and I went, oh my God, what is that? And then, you flip over the package on the back and you're trying to read, what is this? What does this mean? And that Zodak at first, his character was ambiguous at best. Yeah. It shows him attacking the good guys because he's some kind of cosmic enforcer. It doesn't say whether he's good or bad.
And magic chair.
That's right.
He rode around in a chair.
Which is weird. Yeah, it was so weird. So weird. But what they did was they said, okay, you're going to... They kind of developed the storyline as they went along, which brings me to these figures were sculpted by the Four Horsemen, and I don't know have you looked much at their website?
No, I like their 2002 line
with the birds.
I like their 2002 He-Man line.
Okay, the 2002.
That's the only other thing I know.
I know you like that too. Well, they did this one as well. So that's right, the 2002 He-Man line. Rob's a big fan of that. So they also had this whole thing. And you need to check out their website. What Four Horsemen's trying to do? they left those guys left. They used to all sculpt for McFarlane Toys. They left McFarlane Toys in '99. They went on to form their own. Well, one of their first big contracts was Mattel. They got the gig for sculpting the 2002 line of He-Man,
right?
And which then landed them this gig, which then have landed them a few other gigs from Mattel. Problem is, when you are working for yourself as a small independent, A, it's hard to make money off of toys anyway, toy sales. Secondly, it's harder to develop your own line without the big funding of a TV show or a cartoon or animated series or comic book to back you up. And so, but they've got a whole series of toys, of action figures that borrow extremely heavily from a lot of mythos. Some of it looks like it's straight out of Lord of the Rings, even the way they name some of the characters, like the dwarves. Yeah. Some of it looks like, oh my God, okay, you've got a hero named Adaman.
Yeah.
You've got they have a tiger character. He's a Jaguarian or whatever, Jaguarian. He's the color of Battle Cat. He wears Battle Cat armor. He's upright like this, and his name is something like Cowardos. Like he's a coward,
Kind of like the Park sabers.
Exactly.
It all but says this is not Darth Maul's lightsaber.
That's right. I mean, I'll give him credit, and here's why I'll give him credit for this. In their sculpting experience, they clearly loved He-Man. You couldn't do figures this well without understanding A, the source material for the cartoon, and B, the source material for the actual figure. So they clearly were people that loved He-Man. So in my opinion, there are figures that pay homage to the He-Man characters. Are really just that. They're like a nice homage to what the He-Man does, and it kind of bleeds into it. Yeah. But there's no doubt that they definitely borrow a lot. They even have a guy he's basically a trap jaw kind of not. I would say kind of knockoff. No, he's trap jaw, but just with a little bit different face,
different color.
Yeah, I mean he's trap jaw.
Yeah. Another good watch also on Netflix is watch the Master of the Universe episode on the toys that made us.
Oh yeah, that's
right.
That's right.
That'll give you a good history of how it started off as Conan.
That's right.
To be a Conan line, and then they lost that or something.
What happened was when Mattel figured out that Conan was going to be rated R, and they had beheadings and all that, they went, guys, we can't make a toy line out of this, because it was the 80s. It wasn't like, and they were targeting this towards kids. I mean, Rob and I remember when Walmart would not have a McFarlane figure that had blood on the axe.
Well,
remember that? Yeah. Remember?
Can you imagine a Conan figure that had like Conan's 3 rules of battle or whatever on it?
And what were those?
Destroy your enemies and drive them before you, kill their children, rape their women.
Oh God!
Yeah,
and they can't make a movie. They can't make a toy line out of this.
Yeah,
but so Mattel is like, look, we make kids' toys. We can't do that. And I think the Conan theater, they may have even tried to sue him after the fact, but Mattel already had this money invested in all this molding, so they had to develop their own line of characters. And I think the studio behind Conan, I think they did try legal action, but what are you going to do? You can't develop a toy line out of a movie that brutal. Yeah. You just can't do it. Not especially not in the early 80s. Not going to happen,
I wondered also, do you remember Thundar the Barbarian?
Yes, I used to watch that Saturday morning.
Because Thundar, it kind of went with Conan too. And I can't remember if Thundar was before or after He-Man. Because Thundar, it was a post-apocalyptic world, but it was also swords and sorcery and technology.
I think he was a little before He-Man. I think it was a little before He-Man. Because there was that.
So I wonder if they borrowed from him too.
He had that side. First of all, he had a lightsaber. Yeah. Secondly, he had a sidekick that was a lot like Chewbacca.
Yep, very much so.
You remember that? So I think it was actually before He-Man.
Then he had a long.
We'll look that up.
Then there was a woman too that was a sorceress or something.
Okay.
And they had technology and all that, but it was post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah,
it was Earth, but like much later.
That's right.
Because every now and then they come across something that was like
a relic,
Statue of Liberty.
I didn't know that. So it's kind of almost Planet of the Apes-ish.
Yeah, very similar. It borrowed from a lot.
Okay. Well, I mean, all those cartoons did back then. And we didn't know.
Yeah. I think Thundar. I'm surprised no one's tried to reboot that.
I'm sure somebody is. Yeah. I mean, the name is Thundar.
Yeah, Thundar the Barbarian.
But on these figures, if you're a classic, I was telling Rob right before we got started, I looked up. We had come across some He-Man stuff in a estate sale, and I had looked up. I finally wanted to, obviously I'd done some research on the Four Horsemen, and I looked up why these things were the way they were, why they got sculpted the way they were. And basically what it was Mattel, we really kind of owed them for that whole, they really paved the way for this subscription service, the same thing that Hasbro's doing now with the Hasbro Pulse, which was the Hasbro's collector, and it was the Matty Collectors Club is what they called it back then. So what they did was they offered a subscription for $20 a figure, which was considered high then when these came out, and that was only a few years ago. They would send you one figure a month. And they would come out. You've been drinking here, man. And they would send you one figure a month. So you would get one figure a month, and you would get it for however long.
Oh, so it was a subscription service.
It was a subscription. Yeah, it was a subscription.
So it was like the old record, or get 12 CDs for $1, and every month we'll send you one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like that. But you know what they did was that really paved the way. People complained of it at the time. But people always complain. People complain all the time. But you know, like if you're able to get something and bring some, people don't realize how much tooling costs. I've contacted manufacturers about tooling for plastics in both the toy world and just the mechanical world. And when you make a toy tool like this, it's about $125,000 when you tool the metal tooling needed to make that toy. Right. So you try to make it economical to try to get as much out of it as you want, which is why they would reuse chests and arms and all that. So all the people out there complaining, well, this uses this or this uses that. Of course it does. It's like if you're making a military line, make all the combat boots the same, make all the pants generally the same, and put some straps on there to change it up a little bit. Because, my God, there's only so much you can do. And I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but most people wear the same kind of pants. You know, that's just reality. You know, Rob and I are both wearing T-shirts. Okay, that's great. You know, but you know, and so but what they try to do is, you know, Mattel finally said, hey, we'll launch something for collectors. It'll be a subscription. You get on it, you get what you want. We'll have guaranteed funds to make this collectible. We know it can sell out, so we can make the next one. It was a win-win, and that's exactly what, you know, Hasbro Pulse is doing now, and that's what, you know, they're doing, you know, with some of the other lines, like they're not quite doing the subscription stuff with the 6-inch series, the classified series, but that's what, you know, they do with the others. So I think this was a great move by Mattel. I think that, you know, being able to grab these figures from the Matty Collectors Club and to be able to have something, you know, this quality brought to the world was a really good thing.
Yeah, because I never saw those on pegs.
I mean, no, you could. I don't think they ever existed on pegs. And if they did exist on pegs, we wouldn't have seen them here.
The last thing I remember on pegs was the 2002 line,
right? Which you and I both got from Walmart. Yeah, you and I both got that from Walmart. All right, so my first show and tell item is obviously going to be He-Man from what we call the Masters of the Universe Classic Series. This is called the MOTUC. MOTUC, the Masters of the Universe Classic. All right, Rob, what you got for show and tell, buddy?
I don't have that much Masters of the Universe stuff, and I'm showing a couple things already. But a couple years ago, I bought a big lot of DVDs and Blu-rays, and this was in them. And this is basically, at some point, whoever made the He-Man cartoons and the She-Ra cartoons and all that, they got together and they got every single series from the original all the way up through the 2002, and whenever that one came where they sent him to space and changed his suit and made him not.
Oh God, that was weird.
And all the specials and all that.
Oh, and there's the space stuff.
Yeah, and they put them all together.
Oh, that is actually brilliant.
Into a huge set. I don't know if these sold individually or all together.
Oh, but wait, you got to remind me to film this, because that's actually amazing how they start out from the beginning and then go through it. So that's the space series right there?
Possibly.
Oh, no, it has to be.
And there's She-Ra right there.
I just want to see it. Yes, it is.
This will be She-Ra because
the She-Ra.
That's
the Crystal Palace or something.
And then it comes all the way through the 2002 series at the Four Horsemen.
So the 2002 series, did they also look that Japanime in that?
Yeah, a little bit. In fact, like I said, I bought this with a big lot of other stuff. So honestly, from like here to here, I'm never going to watch. Because it's, like I said, I didn't like the old show when I was a kid. I did watch one episode. Somebody gave Melinda the Christmas special. And
Christmas specials are never good.
And told her that the kids might like this. So we watched it years ago, and oh my God, it's so stupid.
Oh,
even the kids were like, this is stupid. But this series here, the 2002 series, I am going to give it a go and see, because it is it's a little more of a, from what I understand, a little more of a serious take on the. So and it goes back. I actually started watching the first episode, and it actually starts off when Skeletor was Keldor.
Yeah, and it became. I saw that I saw that episode,
and apparently this is a very sought after collection by diehard fans. And it actually goes for a pretty penny if you can even find it online. But one thing, if you have this set and you're like me and you had it and you didn't really plan to get it, they come with these cards, these collector cards inside, and these are key to the value of it. They really want these cards included, and I would assume, and rightfully so, a lot of the sets are probably missing all this stuff here.
Oh yeah. You know.
But this one had it all in there.
Well, that's cool.
And see, there she is there.
But look at this artwork, the way they lined that up. Mm-hmm. I mean, they put a lot of time in this.
Yeah. You don't do this. I mean, like I said, to match all the bindings and make one picture out of it, that was pretty
now,
cool.
And I'm gonna jump in on this and say
it doesn't beat Dark Shadows, but it's pretty cool.
I tried to go back and watch Dark Shadows. I couldn't get into it. When we talked about it last year.
I watched it for a little while. And after a while, it got boring.
Yeah, that's what it got. But
what I'm referring to is the Dark Shadows box set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you told me how that laid out.
It's the coffin, and then inside all the DVDs make up Barnabas when you open it up.
Right.
That's what I was referring to as being the most awesome collected set.
That's a pretty good idea. Okay, so but in this type of thing, you're going to see less and less of this as a collector. Will it even some of this won't even exist anymore because everything's digital download now.
It is.
So this type of thing, not only is it rare, it will get more and more rare as time goes by.
Well, 20 years ago, I mean, life is physical media is. It's not going to go. It's not going to it's like records. It's not going to disappear. But here's how I sum it up for people who ask. 20 years ago, there were 6 factories, or whatever you want to call it, in the United States that produced physical discs. Now there's one.
Disc makers does.
Yeah. There's one in the U.S. that still puts out. So every, most DVD sets or Blu-ray sets or 4K sets now are pretty much coming from just a few handful across the world of places. And that's why it takes longer sometimes to get restocks and everything else, is just because there's not that many places doing it anymore.
Let me interject on that. When I released my first album back in 96, it was really expensive, and you had to have minimum quantities, and you always had to have minimum quantities of 1,000. You always had to spend, essentially top dollar to get that. Nowadays, I can, from disc makers, I can order 100 CDs in cards and have them here next week with my artwork on it in full color. Yeah. And that's just how desperate that industry is. They know that physical media. I mean, when I came out with my last album, it was the last album I came out with on a disc because I wanted to finish that and have it on a disc. Yeah. But I won't do another one that way. The other ones are going to be on straight iTunes, Amazon.
Yeah, but for big studio releases, that are looking for several million copies,
right?
There's not that many places, because I've noticed on Amazon too. When you pre-order something, if you pre-order early enough, you'll get it in. But a lot of times, like a good example of this recently was the Indiana Jones 4K set that came out. If you pre-ordered it, you got it right away. But then there was actually after the day of release, you could still order it, but it would have a note ships in 1 to 2 months.
Okay,
because they were waiting to get more stock in.
Well, again, and so that's the okay. So this is a new thing that we were kind of talking about. So this is a new trend in manufacturing. It's called just-in-time manufacturing, and it's a whole thing in the industry that what happens is, and we do that with CMG and Devil Cat. And what it is, we only stock what we need to do to make what we need to make. Mm-hmm. And with us, it's only small amount of numbers, and it's low volume, low money. When you talk about this or that, or if you're talking about, like with the Indiana Jones DVD set, you're talking about millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. Because if they sell, let's say they sell 4 million copies of that to the people that do want to collect it. If their cost is, $1, if they make a killer set like this and their cost is $2, then it's times 4 million. That's $8 million that they have to have invested in physical media. That in today's market, that's a lot of money to have go for media when they can stream it or have it for whatever. Now, it's a brutal industry. It's a tough place to be because that not only affects the disc printing company, but the paper printing company, the publishing company, the printing companies are hurting because they're not getting this kind of work either.
That's a very unsharp sword.
Yeah, if he's holding it by the hand, he's holding that hand by it. That's right. But I like that embossed right there. I like the UV glow.
Yeah, this is a.
It's well done.
Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the series as a whole, but this is a nice. I appreciate a good box set, and this is very nice.
Yeah,
and the fact that it's all inclusive. Like I said, this is not just the old Master Universe show. This is that show, She-Ra, and then the two other shows.
So let me ask you this: even though you're, it's not a 5 for you, if they came out with the new one to match the end cap on that, would you get it?
The completist in me might.
He would.
He would probably.
He would.
I mean, this though is something that if the right person comes along and they want to pay me $400 or $500 for it, I'll sell it to them in a heartbeat.
Right. That's right. All right. Well, good deal. That's Rob's show and tell this week. All right. Cool deal. I'm going to go ahead and show you my second one. Yeah. I had to show this because last week I made such or last time Rob and I got together, I made such a to-do about this that I finally got the Cobra Viper from the actual Classified series. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, y'all know that if you've heard me talk about the Viper, I even did the Viper in the show before. Huge Viper fan of the original G.I. Joe line. I think it came out in 86. Matter of fact, he's on the wall over there on my original G.I. Joe 85, 86. And I'm a huge Viper fan. They didn't hold back anything with it. They didn't pull any punches. They've got the pistol right here, the little Walther that comes out of the... it's like a Walther P99.
Yeah, that's got a thick...
the Walther has a Picatinny rail underneath it, so it's got probably a laser scope. We're just going to say that for because I can't see that small anymore. And one of the things they did, the original Viper did have the rope on the back.
Yeah.
The coloring is exactly the same with the padding and the legs. They still got the grenades up there on the side, but they've changed it to modern grenades. In the old one, it was the round ones.
Yeah.
So they've changed it to match the modern.
Yeah, I like the round ones.
The bandana was a nice touch. It came separate. You could remove it. One thing that I'll say is the goggles. I always complain about. I complain about the functionality of these goggles on the helmet because if you look at these goggles right here, he's got a mask already. What does he need goggles for?
Yeah.
But I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, let's say this mask retracts and he needs those goggles for something else. Okay, I'm just going to throw that out there. They did a nice red trim on the inside of it. Yeah. That was kind of a cool touch. It added depth. They still, I will say this, the goggles, putting them on the helmet was a pain in the butt to get them to stay. I had to kind of line them up down there and stretch them out and get them to stay, but it worked. I got it out there. So I will say if you take the goggles off, it looks ridiculous. The helmet just doesn't, the proportions...
It doesn't look right.
It doesn't look right. It just does not look right. But with the goggles, it looks kind of cool.
Yep.
It's got that look. So mine came in really well jointed. The legs were nice and firm. I bought it from a guy off of eBay last week. And I thought I was going to miss our show, but it came in yesterday. Okay. So I had it. And the reason I wanted to put it in today's show is to give you guys an idea of kind of that scale that it had with the Masters of the Universe. You know, it's they call it 7 inches, but he's just a little bit shorter than He-Man. It kind of makes sense because he is actually true human proportions, whereas He-Man is not, unless you're a bodybuilder that is always in constant flex mode, which he's not. Now, I will say this. The one gripe, Rob, that I have about this, and they did this with the new Boba Fett figure that the series got to. Do you see how I'm not going to take this gun out?
Why not?
Because it took me forever to get it in there.
I want to see how many pieces it comes in.
Oh, exactly. Mm-hmm. So the gun has that kind of grip that almost like that's not a P99. I can't remember what that series. It grips around in this. Mm-hmm. So you're supposed to get a hand into a ring. So you're always blocking that little area of the ring. So it took me forever. And really and truly, that's a good looking position to hold it. So I'm just going to leave it like that.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like he's...
Well, that's why I've never been impressed by too much articulation.
Right.
Is because one thing, a lot of times Chris is right, it is hard to get a figure just like you want it.
Just like you want it.
And then once you get it there, you don't want to. And I've never really posed much in an action pose.
Yeah, like, me neither.
You see them on the
they're doing
advertisement
this.
cards, they're all in, but what you don't see is they've got stuff propped in that they've airbrushed out to make it stand up that way and everything too.
Or you don't see that no one lives there.
Yeah.
And then if you did this, it falls over.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you're right, and I'm the same exact way. So Rob and I, we treat our collections the same. Actually, we're right. All of our figures are pretty much standing the way they kind of can stand.
Yeah.
And that way we don't we don't have to clean as much. We don't have to buff as much, and we don't have to pick up as much stuff off the floor. So this guy. The other thing is about that gun is the clip does come out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it does. Now, there's no bullet in the top of it like you see with Hot Toys.
Yeah.
But they did include a clip that came out. I thought it was kind of a nice touch.
That is a nice touch.
So really, the accessories, he came obviously with the bandana, the gun with the clip, the extra, I guess it's 40 caliber or 9mm on his side, because they make that model in several variations. And then, of course, the goggles. So to me, guys, and the backpack, of course, because, it's kind of weird. When you take the backpack off, it's fine, but the G.I. Joe collector and me, the G.I. Joe guy, they all came with a backpack.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember that as a kid. They all came with a backpack. Yeah. That's why they had the holes in the back, which is good that they included that. And in this figure, they actually included a much, much longer backpack peg than they did with the one showing you that Boba Fett. My God, man.
Yeah, I like the backpack. Like, there's something like Boba Fett without his rocket pack on just
looks weird.
Doesn't look right.
Yeah, and this guy, to me, almost the same kind of way. Like, and if I'm probably mistaken here, but they were these step up fighters. They weren't the Crimson Guard elite, but they definitely weren't the Cobra fodder. These guys, in my opinion, they were. I always treat them like top dogs. Like when I was the Viper a lot of times.
I always picture them as like special ops.
Yeah,
they were like SEALs.
Oh yeah, look at it.
Because the Crimson Guard, they were just there to guard Cobra Commander, weren't they?
But they were elite. They were essentially the Crimson Guard of the Royal Guard. They were basically the Royal Guard for the Emperor.
So they didn't go out on missions.
I don't know if
the Viper was the ones they would send out on missions.
Yeah, I don't know if they went out on missions. But the other thing is about the Crimson Guard is all of them were named Fred. Every single member of the Crimson Guard was named Fred.
Why? And
they all had facial surgery to make them look exactly the same, so they would lose their identity. I mean, no kidding. I'm remembering that from a blister pack card as a kid. I guess you would lose your identity if you look like everybody else and your name was Fred, or if you're a clone trooper.
Oh, if you're a clone trooper.
Right.
Yeah.
A clone trooper. And so George Lucas stole that idea from the back of a G.I. Joe card. We now know that.
Naturally.
Of course he did. He was
because in 1977 he mentioned the Clone Wars.
But he didn't say they all
that's true.
Had the same name or looked the same. And it wasn't until 86 when he bought his son, Jet, a clone troop. A Crimson Guard. Yeah. And even though Jet was probably one?
You wonder why they didn't call it the Droid Wars? Because the other, they called it the Clone Wars because of one army was clones, but the other army was droids.
That's true. They should have called it the droid. Yeah. The clone droid.
The droid defamation league should definitely look
the defamation league. Yeah. So man, guys, I got to tell you, I'm not getting a ton of the G.I. Joe classified series because even though some of it's really reasonable price, like $19, some of it has already been. This was a Target exclusive, so they really screwed the pooch on making one of the most sought after figures a Target exclusive. Yeah. So it immediately sold out. Guys like me couldn't find it. By the time I even found out about it, it had been sold out for a month.
Right.
And then come to find out that Scalper's already bought it. And like when Rob was looking at, that last episode we did, he saw that one that you saw was like starting bid at $37. Right.
Well, that one crazy. How much did that one end up costing?
This one I got for a little bit more than I think I ended up. I can't remember, but it was either I think I ended up like 39, 49 or 49. Yeah. 39 or 49, and that was on the high side, even for me. But I'll be honest with you guys, I am a sucker for the Viper and his helmet, so it was worth it for me.
Well, here's how I feel about exclusives. To me, it's okay to have exclusives, but there should be a Target's the exclusive retail outlet, but everything should be available at either Hasbro, if you buy direct from Hasbro, or you buy direct from Mattel.
Right,
everything should be available from there, even if you have to pay $4 or $5 more.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because that way they could still sell it to the people that maybe
for retail.
Yeah,
but you should still be able to go to Mattel and pick up the Viper.
Yeah, or
because honestly, you're just, what are you doing? Because like I said, Mattel doesn't get that extra $30 that eBay charged. The guy on
Right,
eBay charged
right.
for it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so-
and what they end up doing is they end up, in my opinion, you create a scalper market.
Yeah.
You literally create a scalping market by
Yeah.
not allowing it to get
I
in the
mean,
hands of
if
everybody.
your goal is just we're going to make 1,000 and sell 1,000, and that's all we want, that's fine. I mean, it's not fine. It's kind of a screw you to the collectors, but they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot and leaving money on the table.
I think that I agree 100%. They're leaving money on the table. This guy, this was one of the ones that my biggest gripe with. Right now, you can still get Zartan from Mattel for like $19.
Yeah,
you can still get a Cobra Commander out there for like $20 or something like that. And some of the figures are like the bad ones that nobody wanted in the first place are still bad. Nobody wants them.
JT bought a Cobra Commander statue the other day.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
From like GameStop or something? Yeah, I could see him doing that. He got into
he
got into G.I. Joe for a little bit.
It's like 8 or 9 inches tall. He's always like Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
Cobra Commander fan.
Well, they make that helmet now, and it looks really good.
He's doing this.
That's right. He's postulating.
Mm-hmm.
Getting back on this here real quick before we let it go. The sculpting's great. They've got the embossed Cobra figure. One thing, of course, I like about this figure being that he's wearing a vest is you don't see that nasty T joint in the abdomen. Yeah. You don't get that crunch joint that evidently your figures are going to be doing crunches when you're not home.
Yep.
That's it.
What you gonna do?
Well, so that is my show and tell this week.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked. You can see that I've got the He-Man, the Zodak, and of course the Cobra Viper from the Classified series. All there in their plastic glory, shining their way. So about the same size. Give you an idea of the scale.
It's time for the Box of Mystery.
All right, it is time for the Box of Mystery. All right, Rob, what you got in that Box of Mystery? Are you going to need to put this stuff up here?
Yeah, just move it out of the way. So Box of Mystery. I have a tablet.
A tablet.
I have a Kindle, which is also a tablet.
Okay.
And I have a phone.
I don't know where he's going with this.
And I kept these all by my bed, and I'd charge them and this, that, and the other. Well, for either Father's Day or anniversary, can't remember which exactly. Melinda had this made for me.
Oh, that's right.
Somebody local in town that makes them. And she got them to put the Mandalorian theme on it and such. And I don't know exactly what it was to be made for, but she had it had the Mandalorian theme put on there with "This is the way" and the Mandalorian helmet. So it's come in pretty handy, and it's helped organize my bedside table.
Show how that lifts off. Show how that lifts off there.
And it comes here, and it's got a little area there you can put stuff in.
You like trinkets,
headphones or trinkets or chains or whatever you want. But yeah, works out good. So a good gift from Melinda.
You could put action figures in there.
You could
hang them behind a wall.
Yeah. And so, like I said, I put this on my bedside table, and it helps organize up my area.
This is the way.
Where I have the cords and all. And like I said, it can hold 3 things. If I could go back to the guys who made it, I would come up with something, tell them to add something that you could put remotes in. Attach remotes better. That would help too. But yeah, pretty nice. I mean, you could even put the remote stuff right here, like 3 little cubicles, and just set your remotes in there. Because I have 3 remotes by the bed.
For your TVs, really?
Yeah, the TV, the Blu-ray player, and then the Roku stick.
We finally, with that new TV that we got in there, we can finally control all of them with one. Everything with one. So
yeah, mine will do. It'll do most everything. Like it'll take over the Roku. It clone the Roku, and it clone the DVD or the 4K player, but it doesn't do everything.
Okay.
It'll take over the basic functions, but it doesn't do the fine-tuned stuff you might need.
Okay.
You know. So anyway, so that's it.
Cool deal.
Box of Mystery. Thank you, Melinda.
Don't block the mic. I got to move it from the mic. He blocks the mic. And there you go. That's a good spot. All right. So that's good. All right, Rob. That was a pretty good. That was what again, Rob and I are marginal He-Man fans. Mm-hmm. So that's about where we get with He-Man. All right. So we're going to do some shout-outs, man.
Okay.
You got some do you have any shout-outs? I've got shout-outs.
You can go ahead.
I'll start. All right. I'm going to go ahead and give Chris Cox, a big shout out. Chris is the guy that helps me with program our CNC machine. He was out at the factory all day with me yesterday, helping me tighten that thing up. We just got a new one in, and I'm hoping to have some really cool things coming out this year. All of our new guitars and amps are going to be made on that, and also I'm going to have some things that I make for GenX Vault. Actually, I've got some ideas. I do have some really cool ideas.
You realize no one watches this, right?
Hey, all 24 people, and you get 12 views, so that's cool.
Yeah.
So all 24 plus 2.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna have some. Oh no, it's not for stuff for sale. It's stuff for me.
Oh, okay.
Let me clarify that. Yeah, I don't care if anyone buys it. It's for me. So I'm gonna have some cool stuff for that. So thank you, Chris Cox. I really appreciate it. Let's see. The other person, I'm gonna give a shout out to Michael Crawford for MCW Toys. He does these awesome toy reviews, and I reached out to him to ask him if I could use permission for his photos of the He-Man and Faker and whatnot. And as long as he writes me back and grants me permission, you'll see those photos of yours. Thank you, Michael, in advance for letting me use that. Let's see. The last and final thing, Ashley, thank you for being my mannequin today to help me focus all of this stuff. I got her in the room a few times to make sure my line of focus was in tune with the new GH4, and I've learned that the manual focus works really well because the autofocus does, in fact, not. All right, that's my shout-outs for the week. You got any?
The only shout-out I'm going to give this week is to Pink.
Who?
Pink, the musician.
Oh yeah, what did she do? She did something.
The women's Norwegian beach handball team.
Right.
They
volleyball or handball?
Handball is what it said, and it's a whole team of them. So beach volleyball is just 2.
Yeah.
The beach handball team, the league rules state that they have to wear bikini bottoms,
right,
as part of the uniform. Well, the Norwegian beach handball team said enough. And they switched to shorts.
Yeah,
you can see it here. They switched.
Those are shorts
to more regular shorts,
which are completely fine.
And they got fined for that, for not wearing the
financial, or they got fined points.
No, they got fined money.
Okay.
Well, Pink heard about it, and she contacted them through the magic of Twitter or something, and said, "Don't worry about it. I'm going to pay for it." And she paid. I guess she followed through.
Yeah.
Paid all their fines.
That's cool.
But within that small amount of time, certain like women's beach volleyball and some others, they've already started and said they're going to actually start letting the women choose what they want to wear.
I mean, insane.
If they want to wear bikini bottoms, some do.
Some do, yeah.
Because like one of the American teams, they said we designed our own bikini bottoms for
this.
So we get. I mean, she was quite blunt about it. She's like, we get wedgies, but we like wearing them.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you want to wear shorts. So, and that's really what it comes down to. You don't tell nobody what to wear. You don't tell them they can't wear bikini bottoms. You tell them you have the right to choose what you want to wear.
I don't know if you've noticed this or not. Have you been watching much Olympics this summer?
I watched a lot of Olympics.
Okay, so I've noticed that this year there's a lot of sports that I had no idea were in the Olympics. Like, I mean, I knew that skating had gotten recently put in the Olympics. Recently, I guess in the past, I don't know, in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But that's what's funny to me. Skaters are they're dressed like skaters.
Yeah.
They're totally wearing loose, baggy clothes. They look like skaters. I mean, I don't know if they might not be wearing the Powell Peralta stuff or the gear they used to wear when I was a kid, but nonetheless, they look like skaters and they're wearing Vans.
Yeah.
Like skaters wear.
Yeah.
And their hats on backwards and all that.
Yeah, and that's the silly thing about the bikini bottom rules for women. Trust me, if there was any tactical advantage to it, the men's team would be out there wearing bikini bottoms.
That's right.
If they thought it would help them win,
that's right.
They would be wearing that.
That's right.
But yeah, the Olympics are, because there's a lot of sports in Olympics. I'm like, why is that an Olympic sport?
Like what?
Like why are the equestrian events in the Olympics?
Well, I mean, know.
And how do you choose which equestrian events are in? Why not horse racing? But no, it's the prancing and the jumping.
Yeah.
But that's more on the horse than it is on the person.
Yeah, but they're about to have esports in the Olympics. They're about to introduce esports in the Olympics.
I don't understand that.
Well, I mean, have you ever tried to play a video game for a really long time?
No.
Okay, it's intense.
Yeah,
I've never tried to be a pro at it, nor would I.
But that just doesn't seem like an Olympic type sport. So, like, if there are certain sports that are in there, and I'm like, why isn't arm wrestling an Olympic sport?
I don't know.
I mean, because
I'm not on the committee.
It's a competition. So I don't know. It's weird where they draw the line. I'm guessing there's some money that determines
it's what people want to see.
Who gets to?
It's simply what people want to see. I mean, the same reason.
There's money. The Olympic Committee is pretty much corrupt.
Well, I've heard that too. Yeah, I've heard that too. But it's what people want to see, and they're talking about now that they're making the guy at the Olympics said that esports doesn't need the Olympics. The Olympics needs esports. because if they're going to attract more kids to watch it, that's
Yeah.
what's going to happen. They're going to
But-
try to make money off this.
Yeah, I guess. But
They're going to do it.
I watched an esports competition one time, and that was the most boring thing in the
I have
world.
never, ever in my life even seen
Yeah.
more than 1 minute of an esports competition.
But
I've never.
I will say this: if you want to be horrified, and you have HBO, go back 2 or 3 years ago, maybe more. And there's a Real Sports episode where they talk about the International Olympic Committee, and they specifically look at the games in China and the games in Russia, and what the basically atrocities they committed against people to put those shows on.
Oh yeah.
They arrested, like in just a couple quick ones that just stuck out in my mind. They told, like in China, they told people, you have to move. We're building an Olympic park here. And most people left, some didn't. They came and took people. And some people, they woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning to the sound of a bulldozer pushing their house down.
Wow.
With them still in it. And when Russia hosted the Winter Olympics in like the hottest place in Russia, they brought in basically slave labor from other countries. And there was a guy whose job was, or a team whose job was, when one of these guys fell off and hit the ground and died, they went over to the body and put protective equipment on him. So that when the investigators showed up,
oh man,
he had the protective.
And this was an
equipment
HBO documentary.
Yeah, it's on. There's a show called Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel.
Oh yeah.
It's a long running show, but they talk about the other side of sports.
Oh man,
and it was shocking.
You know, I mean, everybody was you know, that one senator out of Texas thought he'd open his dumb mouth and comment on Simone Biles as if he had a right to do it because how hard this crap is. But the thing is Andre Agassi even talked about that in his book, and he talked about that in his memoir, that he got to a point where he hated tennis. He hated everything about tennis. It was wake up, practice, play, repeat. Yeah. Wake up, practice, play, repeat. Every single day. That was his life, and he grew to resent tennis and hate it because it's a brutal. You know, when that's all you do, and your thing is only to win. That's what you do. You know, and these esport guys. You know, I enjoy playing video games. I enjoy having fun with it. But if I play for about an hour and a half, unless it's Zelda, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do something else. You know, I can't commit 8 hours a day to this, 9 hours, 10, 12 hours a day to this. You know, so I look at it like this: is it athletic in the sense of are you doing gymnastics across the floor? No. Is it physically taxing? Yes, it is. Yeah. It's mentally and physically taxing.
Well, is it there's competitions and there's athletic competitions,
right?
Like you could have cook-offs that are competitions,
right?
Beauty contests are competitions, but are they athletic competitions?
Right.
That's kind of how I see it. Because to me, I get it from a standpoint of ratings and all that.
That's ratings. It's ratings driven.
I personally have no interest in watching.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch it.
Sports.
I wouldn't, but somebody like JT might. He might watch it.
Yeah,
he watches people play games.
He watches people play games, but he's mainly looking for tips and tricks. You know,
right?
Because honestly, the one
strange world.
I was flipping channels one day, and the one esports competition I came across, I had no idea what they were doing.
Right.
So I didn't understand
how the game was played.
How the game they were competing at.
Yeah.
If you don't know how that works,
right?
Then how do you even know if they're winning?
Right. I've never played Fortnite, but I have a basic understanding of how the game is played. But when I watch people, these and these Twitch streamers that do it, I just don't get it. It was beyond my. It's beyond my. I don't get it. I don't care to watch it either. But that's okay. You know, there are games that don't exist anymore in the Olympics that we used to have that we don't. And there's a funny throwback. When you watch, they did this thing where they showed you the Olympics of 1950. Mm-hmm. They showed the Olympics and the way that the floor competition was done in 1950, and the way that the floor routines and things like that were done in the 50s versus now. Oh, night and day what these people are doing. Mm-hmm. You know, they're literally leaps and bounds above what they were doing back then. You know, it's crazy.
Well, because science, everything's science to death now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and so
physics.
They've made shoes that return more energy than you put out.
Really?
When you're running.
Really?
And to the point where they're starting to look at, should we allow this?
Okay. Huh.
Like, so when you come down on the shoe, and as you come up, the shoe is actually returning more energy than you put out, pushing it down on the ground.
I didn't know that. That seems almost
Isn't
impossible.
That crazy?
Yeah.
And they said that's one reason why a lot of records were broken in Tokyo. but they said that track is also like that.
Right.
That it's like there's like a company like that made the track
They're
specifically
spongy.
for the Olympics.
They're very spongy if you
yeah,
ever step on one.
and they said that the track was actually also returning more energy,
right,
near about. So runners were getting that extra little
that
boost.
lift, right?
So.
Yeah. So next year, as they start seeing, did somebody break this guy's record because of what was out there, the next Olympics or whatever, Yeah.
Well, back in the '80s, Carl Lewis he ran like a 10-second 100 meters, and he was considered the fastest man in the world.
Right.
Now, pretty much everyone that ran the 100-meter finals ran under 10 seconds.
That's right. It's just like the 4-minute mile. It was thought it couldn't be done until it could be done. Yeah. And then everybody could do it.
And then the following year, 160 people broke at the 4-minute mile.
It's unbelievable.
Once they knew Roger Bannister was his name.
Well, it's kind of like when we didn't get off the ground for thousands and thousands of years of recorded humanity, 10,000 years. All of a sudden, two kids do it in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, and then 66 years later, we're on the moon.
Well, life evolves exponentially in every every facet.
And the first transistor radio had 5 transistors in it. Your phone has billions of transistors in it.
Well, that's like the ENIAC, which was the first main computer. It dimmed the lights in Philadelphia or some town when they turned it on.
And it was way less powerful than your phone that you can charge with a button.
That's where the term debugger comes from.
Right.
There's actual bugs in there. That went in there and sorted out the...
That's right. They wanted to be on the contacts. That's right. Absolutely right. The vacuum tubes.
The vacuum tubes.
That's right. Oh, man. That's crazy. Well, and so it was the end of a Summer Olympics. So I think it's appropriate that He-Man was our show.
Yeah.
He was the strongman competition there.
Yeah.
All right, man. Any more shout-outs for you, man?
That was it. Just Pink. Good job, Pink.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, way to go, Pink. Well, all right, guys. Thank you so much for GenX Vault. This is Chris Mitchell.
Rob Kennedy.
And we will see you guys next time.